Hello everyone, let us continue with the chapter Human Health and Diseases Part 11. And now we are going to learn about the helminth infection. One such helminth infection, what we are going to learn now is Ascariasis. And this Ascariasis, it is caused by a nematode worm. It is caused by a nematode worm. So what do you mean by this nematode? So nematode, it is a helminth. It is a helminth, right? Helminthic worm. And it is a small intestinal worm, and it belongs to the kingdom Animalia and the phylum Nematoda. Phylum Nematoda. Nematos meaning thread-like. Nematos meaning thread. So this is a small intestinal worm. It mainly infects the human and causes the disease called as Ascariasis. Okay. So what is this nematode worm? This nematode worm, it is Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides. So that is why here the name of the disease caused by this Ascaris lumbricoides, you call that as Ascariasis. And these eggs of adult Ascaris are excreted along with the feces of infected person and contaminate soil, water, plants, right? And then what happens here is when a healthy person is infected by these eggs through water, food and raw vegetables. And if you see here, the larvae develops inside the eggs actually, and once the eggs are ingested, they hatch out in the intestine of the host. Hatch out, what happens? They penetrate from the intestine and then they enter into the lungs. They affect the lungs and the alveolar surface, what is present inside the lungs, right? And full respiratory route will be infected. Full respiratory route will be infected, and then they are coughed in the esophagus, right? Again, they come back to the intestine. So it takes about 10 weeks to mature. So what are the drugs normally available for the treatment here is, you call that to be anti-helminthic drugs, right? So they are called as anti-helminthic drugs. Albendazole and mebendazole. This is what we are going to learn now is Filariasis. It is also a helminthic infection, right? Which is caused by a filarial worm. Right? You call that as filarial nematode. So what is this filarial nematode? Wuchereria bancrofti and Wuchereria malayi. Okay, Wuchereria bancrofti and Wuchereria malayi. And these two species, they belong to the phylum Nematoda. Okay, likewise we have learnt about Ascaris, right? So they belong to the kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia. And then the phylum Nematoda. And these worms, normally they are roundworms, right? And these are the worms which causes filariasis. And they are distributed throughout the tropics and subtropics, where Central Africa, coastal areas of Middle East and Indian subcontinent, and West Indies, right? And Southeast Asia. And this filarial infection, it is caused by different species of mosquitoes. So what does this mosquito act as here? Vector. Vector or a carrier. So it is a vector-borne disease, right? So which act as a vector here? Culex species, or it may be Aedes species. So these mosquitoes, it helps in transmitting the pathogen. So what is that pathogen? Wuchereria bancrofti and Wuchereria malayi. Okay. So what happens here? The immature stages of these nematode worms, right, larvae, they are called as microfilariae. They are called as microfilariae. This is being ingested into the human, normal person by these mosquitoes. When these mosquitoes bites the normal person, it punctures the skin, and with the help of the blood it enters. And the larvae, what happens after that? It migrates to the lymphatic system. Normally the peripheral lymphatic system. After entering into the human, what happens here is this larvae, it affects the peripheral lymphatic system of human. Peripheral lymphatic system of human. Okay, so what happens here? Lymphatic system, lymph nodes. So a whole lymphatic system will be affected. After that, when the peripheral lymphatic system is being infected, what happens here is the developed atolls, it obstructs the flow of blood in the lymph vessels, right? Lymphatic system. So what happens here? It results in edema. So in that condition, okay, here after that it results in edema, right? So here what is edema is watery fluid will be accumulated in the tissues. In that condition you call that to be what? Edema, right? And then when you look at here, what about the symptoms here? So what are the symptoms you can see in this type of filariasis patient here is the lower extremities will swell and resemble the feet of elephant. When you just look at these patients, filariasis patients, the lower limb will be swollen. It looks like an elephant leg, right? That is why here this disease, it is otherwise called as elephantiasis. Elephantiasis. Okay, and even the genital organs are also often affected. So here, what about the treatment? How it can be treated? Some drugs which are very useful for this treatment here is heterazone, right? And diethyl carbamazine, it is also used for the treatment of filariasis. If you like this video, share, comment and subscribe my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And the link is available in the description box. Thank you.